Welcome to episode 12 of Spreading the Nerd, unscripted and, of course, unfiltered. I'm your good cop host, Clint Coombs, and, of course, with me is bad cop co-host Rick Davis. How you doing, sir?
Time to beat up some people, I guess. Pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I figured that was a good little intro with I know how things are going to be today, and it's not just you either. It's me as well. I'm doing good. I'm a little tired because WoW came out early access on Thursday, so I stayed up late Thursday, worked Friday, stayed up late Friday, and then got up way too early this morning. But I got my main character leveled, and I'm almost done with the main story, and then it's time to hit the grind. So I've been hitting it hard because I want to play Outlaws next week when it comes out. So
yeah, this is a busy couple weeks for me because I had Black Myth Wukong on what day was it? Thursday or was it Friday that came out? I don't even remember. I think it was Thursday.
I
don't remember. It was
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
It was Tuesday.
Was it that?
Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, whatever day it was. Well, I had that. Then next week I got Outlaws, and then the week after that is it's the end of the week. But Astro Boss after that, and then I even looked through September because September is fairly busy and October is loaded. So
yeah, Outlaws is next week. Visions of Mana's next week. I do want to play it. I'm gonna have to push it
on that. I'm not a big fan of the Mana series.
I thought there was something else on PC, but I can't remember. There's so many.
Well, I don't know exactly what week it is, but what's it called? Jesus, Warhammer.
That's September 9th. Same day as Astrobot.
Okay, so that's next. Not next week. It's the one after then.
God damn it! I definitely want to get Astrobot. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't get Wukong. I wanted to, but I know if I bought it, I would have played it for like 2 hours, and it would have just sat there. So
I haven't done
I will
that,
get
so
it.
I can't say much.
Yeah, I will get it. I think I'm just gonna have to wait for a sale. I think. Yeah,
I would guess that'll probably be on sale come holiday time.
I would, probably like Black Friday.
Well, I mean, it's obviously selling like absolute fire, but what that usually means is, unless you're Grand Theft Auto, that usually means eventually it starts to fall off because everyone that was interested probably bought it at that point.
Yeah, and like Silking It in chat says, I can't believe we're already in September release. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Finally, after this weekend, it'll be my quieting downtime. One of the kids goes off to college, and then we it just quiet down in general. The missus starts her job back up at school, so this is my game time type of thing. Summer's always busy, so I'm happy for it to get here. And then Nissa's birthday is in September, so that's cool. You have to let us know the exact date so we can.
What's the date?
Shout you out.
Early, late, or mid?
But yeah. Other than that, I really didn't. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 14 in the beginning of the week. That was about it, really.
I actually played a good bit of things recently. I mean, obviously, Wukong, which I'll circle back to that. But I'd mentioned that I've been doing a little bit of racing. I actually didn't do much of it this week, just because I haven't had a whole lot of time to play. I have no idea who Ruby Bridges is, so that means nothing to me.
I guess I'm gonna have to.
I've been doing some racing, but I was kind of a little bit busy this week to the point I didn't really have the time to I have the wheel set up right there, so it doesn't take super long to set it up. But it's still, I don't want to do it for 20 minutes and have to disconnect it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I had been playing some EA WRC, which is, if you're a rally fan, they've got that in a really good place. It did not launch in the best condition, but they've got it in an awesome state now. And actually, something very cool about that is, so for those who don't know, this is Codemasters, right? This is who used to make the Dirt Rally or Dirt games, but Dirt Rally was their more simulation side of it. And this is that, except now it actually has the WRC license, including the top level WRC cars, which are obviously exclusive to that license, as well as the actual rules and like calendar that they use and stuff like that. And they've done a pretty killer job with it. But what's really cool is we'd be coming up within next month or two. to the point where they'd be releasing the new one. They actually have announced that they are not releasing a new title. They are actually selling. This is what people have been begging them to do with like Madden and stuff like that for years. They are selling an update to the game. I don't know the pricing. They might charge full price. I have no idea. But basically, to add the 2024 or 25, whichever however it works out, season into this game. And then when you go into this game, now you can pick which season you want to do. And it's like, that's great. That means if there's something that the game has this moments thing where they recreate popular, or I'm sorry, not popular, like real famous moments from the WRC's history. Like,
Okay.
If anyone, if you know anything about Rally, you've heard of Colin McRae.
Mhm.
Colin McRae and Richard Burns are probably the two most well-known drivers of all time. There was I want to say it's one of their rookie seasons. I don't remember, but it was like a legendary battle between them to finish the top of the standings. And one of these moments is that, right? The NBA like had something like this with like the Michael Jordan thing with like the flu game and stuff like that. So it has this, but like what I'm doing as an example is if they were to release WRC 2024 or whatever, and they didn't put that in there, it's like, oh, now we don't have this with the updated physics, new cars, all that shit. Now it's great doing it this way because you can just load one game and have all you want to do. And again, they might charge full price, and that's fine. Even if they do,
Right.
there'll be enough there for me to pay full price. My guess is they won't, but we'll see. But anyway, so I've been doing that. I'm playing some Forza Motorsport.
Nice.
I've actually been playing a bit of Atomic Heart recently. Funny enough, and
I wanted to get to that, but
I have good and not as good of things to say about it. Like, I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do, but it really does have some strange design decisions that hold it back.
It does, yeah. I when it first came out, I played it maybe only like 4 hours, and then I put it away because last year was stacked as well. So
did you get to where it actually becomes an open world? It fakes you out at first, and you think you do.
Maybe not then. I don't think I was in like proper open world.
Did you get to where the train crashes? That's when it's the open world. If you have to think about it, you didn't.
No.
You didn't then. So actually,
no. Because at the beginning of the game, you're on some train tracks. So at the very beginning, it's like
that's not what I'm talking about. No.
Yeah.
You go through what seems to be a little open world area, and then you get on a train to go to. It's been a while, but I want to say to meet that Sevchnikov guy, and the train crashes, and then you're actually in the open world. I think that's how it goes. But that was probably not the greatest decision. That actually might have been better as a linear game, but it does do things I like. Like I've said from day one, I was like, they get a lot of credit though for the really cool robot designs, and the fact that like if you don't really pay attention, you wouldn't even notice this, but every robot is like built from like the inside out. Like when you destroy them and rip off their arms, so that it actually has like
it has
like the
really
wires cool. And it's like that's actually pretty cool. I kind of wish they'd gone a little bit further. Unfortunately, mostly organic enemies, and that suck ass. I can hear my dog barking, so sorry about that. But
that's okay.
And I wish they'd have done it, but the whole point is it is supposed to be like this like mountain city or whatever that has no like people left, like all the people have been killed. But it's interesting. It is kind of interesting, but it's some bad decisions that have kind of held it back. But and the last thing is I've kind of slowly begun to dive back into Starfield now that the Rev 8 or the Rex 8 or whatever is out.
Yeah, there's so many older, it came out like a year ago. I say older games, but like Atomic Heart's leaving Game Pass. I never bought it, so I wanted to play it on Game Pass before it left. It's not going to happen.
I will say one thing. Since you haven't started it yet, see, unfortunately, I'm kind of screwed on this. Play it on PC if you play it, because it is better on PC.
Yeah, when I did play it a little bit, it was on PC, and it was gorgeous on PC.
Oh, it's a good looking game. Yeah, it is a good looking game.
And then, of course, with the Gamescom announcements in Starfield, I wanted to play Starfield, and I'm like, I just don't have the time. There's too many games. And Ellery in chat said they're playing Dragon Age Origins. Awesome game.
That is an awesome game. But I will tell you right now, that goddamn game never ends.
It's long.
That game never ends.
It's long. It's not Baldur's Gate 3 long type of thing, but it's long.
You think it ends like 5 times before it actually ends. It just keeps going.
It is super good though. Crap, I was gonna mention something. Oh,
Melgar, maybe.
yeah. So, before we get into it too much, you gave me permission for this week. I also got a like a cloak and a
Oh yes.
pretty. So we'll be wearing that at some point whenever that comes in. That should be pretty good.
I had a joke I was going to make about that, and I forget what it was. So unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But it was there, and in my head, it was a good joke. I'll say that.
Maybe you'll remember it, but yeah, Dragon Age Origins was so good, really good. I've played through that one a couple times.
The sad part is 2 was almost a good game, but they it was not a finished game, and that was the problem. Like if they would have just not reused the same like 2 dungeon layouts over,
that was my problem with it.
Because actually, it probably had a better story. 2 actually had a pretty good story.
Yeah, but yeah, everything looked the same. And then of course Dragon Age Inquisition I liked. However, Hinterlands is the beginning part, right?
Yeah.
It is the worst thing they could have done because it's like an 8-hour tutorial area.
It never that if you wanted to make a big area like that, it should have been like the last area you're in, not the first.
Yeah. It was just and so great after that, but a lot of people couldn't get through it. I almost didn't get through it. But yeah, that was pretty much my week. Nothing too crazy. And of course we had Gamescom.
I wanted to say, based on Ilary's comment here, well, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Dragon Age Origins actually is newer than the original Witcher. The original Witcher is the original Witcher is pretty dated right now. Because that came out. Was it like,
because like the original Witcher, I remember playing that when I lived in. Yeah, because I lived in England when that came out, and then Origins came out on the 360, and the 360 came out right when I came back to the States. So,
now that said, do not let that dissuade you, because I did not like the original Witcher. Witcher 2 was amazing. However, the console version is not good. You got to play the PC version for it to be good. Like the console version took some major like cuts to actually function on the 360. On PC, it is really, really good though, and then 3 is just absolute. 3 just shits all over both of them because it's just.
It's crazy.
It's a developer discovering what they're capable of,
and you can see too if you look at each game, you can see like Witcher 1, you can tell like that was definitely their early start. 2 definitely got really. It's like almost a wholly different game, and then 3 was their magnum opus or whatever it is.
And also one other little thing, I see her other comment here. Right, sorry, it moved. My advice, if you do play through those, play 3 on PC, because you can actually transfer your saves between them. Only on PC, not on console, because obviously 1 was never on console. And then certain decisions that you have made, it's not anything big like Mass Effect, but certain decisions that you have made actually will carry between them.
And I know
it makes the biggest difference in 3, because depending what decisions that you've made in 2, for example, whole characters will or will not show up in the third one. So my advice is do that. I mean, you got a long way to go. I would just keep an eye on like a Steam sale. You'll probably
because that's what I was just going to say. Witcher 3, the complete edition, always goes on sale on PC for usually dirt cheap, like $10. I've seen it go for often. So,
and you definitely want the complete edition, because the 2 expansions are the best part of the game, and the regular game is amazing. Yeah, and yet both of those are better than anything in the regular game.
There was a couple websites when Blood and Wine is the first or is the second expansion.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And that literally the expansion won Game of the Year at several outlets. It's good.
Blood and Wine is bigger than a lot of full games.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Fantastic. Honestly, it's as much as good as The Witcher 3 is. The Witcher 3 is great. So a pretty common thing amongst Western RPGs is, unless you're something like, say, Mass Effect, where the main driving point is the main story and you have the side stuff, usually the main story sucks, right? But the main story in The Witcher 3 is amazing. Like, it's incredible. Like the whole thing with the Wild Hunt, and it's not really a spoiler, being is that's the whole damn name of the game, is genuinely awesome. Like, when you get to the one point, I'm not going to say what it is, but it has to do with Kaer Morhen, about maybe 2/3 of the way through the main story. Like, that's one of my favorite moments in all of gaming. And as good as that is, it's not even close to the story in Hearts of Stone, and especially in Blood and Wine. And Hearts of Stone has, what's his name, Olgierd something or other. one of the best video game characters of all time. That dude is
Mhm.
amazing. He is so awesome.
And I do love Witcher 3. However, Silking it in chat, maybe one day I'll return to Witcher 3 and get over my gripes with the combat. I had to play Witcher 3 like 2 or 3 times before it finally clicked for me to enjoy it. And it's not that it's not bad.
It
I just
doesn't
don't
have
know.
any feeling of impact. That's the biggest issue with it.
I think that's a good way to express it. Yeah, for sure.
But it actually is a lot deeper than people give it credit for, because like,
especially if you start putting in the magic or whatever it is there.
Each different kind of like monster in that, you really have to fight totally differently.
Yeah, you have to have the right sword out and all that stuff. So it's good once you get used to it, type of thing, for sure.
Yeah, I grew to like it, but one thing I will say about it is, so I have never admittedly been particularly good at what's the way to put, like build crafting, I guess you would say. And in Witcher 3, to build a particularly strong character, you actually have to do it in a way that I never would have thought. Like, by far, the strongest character builds you can use is building up your toxicity so that you can take all those what are they called, the really powerful potions that last forever.
Yeah.
Like I discovered this after I finished the game, and I was like, man, this makes a big difference. And I completely avoided the whole toxicity thing. And I was like, this is how you become strong in this game. But yeah, not to keep harping on a game that's 11 years old now.
But that is, I mean, that's the testament of that game.
It truly is amazing. It is.
Yeah.
It is objectively one of the best games ever made. Even if you don't like it, that's fine. But it is absolutely one of the best games ever made. And in my opinion, with the exception of Red Dead Redemption 2, there is no better open world than Witcher 3's. It feels like a real world when you're walking around. The way that they designed like all the battlefields and stuff like that, it feels like you're walking around a war-torn country. It is incredible.
And just I know we've touched on it before, but just to touch on it again, like there are a few side quests in that game where the side quest has better stories than main RPG games I've played. It's so good.
Not a side quest, but I mean the Bloody Baron. Everyone always
everybody remembers the Bloody Baron.
That one is main. That one's main story. That's not side story. But yeah, that's an exceptionally good.
It's so good.
They are incredibly good storytellers at CD Projekt Red. Like that's pretty apparent.
I did at the beginning of the week. I was playing some more Cyberpunk. I was getting more attached to that, and I was like, "Cool, I'm finally getting attached to this." And I'm fucking 5 other games gonna come out.
2.0 took that to be an entirely different game, and I don't know anybody that hasn't played it and said this is just a significantly improved game over what it even was before. It's the game, honestly, it probably should have launched at, and then...
Oh, yeah. I would have rather waited.
It would have swept everyone's game of the years if that's what we got. Like, nothing else would have even compared.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of just games in general, of course, we had the Gamescom this week, which, as you can see by our title, the Gamescom crowd, I feel like we should start with that first. So we were kind of watching it together, and we noticed that you couldn't hear the crowd, like, at all. Sometimes
there was one time I really heard them cheering. I think was it when that guy cried? Maybe that was it. That was like
I think that was it. Yeah.
Like
even after the Borderlands 4 reveal trailer and stuff, everybody was just like whatever. And then it was about, I think it was yesterday, I started looking at reaction videos on like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff, and 90% of the crowd, I shit you not, is just doing this during while things are playing, and like it would go off and you'd see like, and people were like looking around, and I'm like, why are you here if you're not interested at all? Like,
I guess that goes to show you why Sony and Microsoft, when they do them, they don't want it to be an open event. They want it to be an invite only event because they want to make sure that people aren't
people are excited. Yeah, it literally felt that that's what it was. It was a bunch of media people, which as it should be.
Sure.
But it felt like while they were talking about the trailer or whatever, they were literally like explaining it in a tweet or whatever, and it's just like Elrace points out in chat too real quick, just noticed you're wearing one of your new shirts. I am. It's from
yeah, you never did send that link like you said you were going to.
Oh yeah, that too, but it possibly, I don't know, it was definitely my favorite Final Fantasy for a long time. I love 6.
7 was my favorite, but 6 is absolutely the
Yeah,
acceptable
God, I love
substitution.
6.
Yes.
What Silken said in chat? Uniqlo.
Silken is reading your mind. Look at that.
Yep, that's the one. And I think they're on sale right now. They would like, I'm pretty sure Silken got these shirts when they first launched, and I wanted
really?
them, but I was like, yeah, but I was like, I'll wait. And thankfully I did, because they were like $9 when I grabbed them. Silken it.
Yeah,
I love
probably gonna have to buy some.
Yeah, they're and good quality, so I'm happy.
That's good, because a lot of times when you get those kind of things, they're absolutely trash quality. So,
but yeah, back to the Gamescom. That crowd, probably the worst crowd I've ever seen at a showcase. It was
terrible.
just, there was no enthusiasm, there was nothing. And that poor girl that was up there, I can't remember her name. Whoever did the writing for her jokes and stuff was
oh yeah. Shocks.
She would say a joke and like crickets.
Well, and there was one point. It was pretty early, because I even called. I was like, dude, she is like you could tell she was like, guys, you gotta clap her.
She wanted to crawl into her own skin.
It was getting to her. You could see
oh yeah,
like later in the show, you could see she would tell a joke and immediately go on to what else she was trying to say. She did not give them a moment to clap or anything. That was brutal.
It was. It was. Yeah, like Ellery said in chat, it was like secondary embarrassment type of thing.
And like the sad part of this is, if your point is, which it wasn't, but if your point is to like make a point about being unhappy about whatever, you can't do it after every single show or every single showing. Like you have to do, like back when, for example, Sony revealed I think it was the Vita, when they announced not the Vita itself, but when they announced the 3G version of it, announced it was AT&T and it was silent. Like that's how you have to do that. That way you show them like, this is bad and we're not gonna fake cheer for you. But when you don't do anything the entire show, they're not getting anything.
And
from that.
It's like, it's for games like Borderlands 4, and like nobody like clapped, and it's like, what is going on? But to their defense, that show was terrible. I was hyped for it, because after Summerfest and whatever showcases were going on all summer, all the developers and everything were like, Gamescom is where we're going to go deep dive into these games and stuff like that. So I thought opening night was going to be fantastic, and it was.
Opening night live usually is amazing. Like
it was garbage.
Like you're not getting like E3 showcase amazing.
No, but you're still
always getting a consistently good show. It's pretty clear, and we were talking about this on XCP. Actually, I shouldn't say we. They were talking about this on XCP, and I said I agreed with them. It's kind of obvious there's not a whole lot for them to show right now, and that's the problem.
No, because
Microsoft are obviously showing it at their own shows.
Yeah,
and they're about the only ones with anything to show.
So
like Jeff Keighley is like scrambling to find anything, and it's not coming together well.
And that was the. Sorry, I was looking at. Nissa said to look in Discord, and a member in there said, "Is we're always talking about how Microsoft is awful with commercializing and stuff like that." They saw a commercial for Star Wars Outlaws with the Xbox logo before and after, which is they must have got the marketing rights for it or something.
Well, we knew that because they had it at their showcase.
Remember? Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But the Gamescom I thought was, and I had mentioned in a text back and forth with you, is like, I'm sure hopefully the publishers and devs the next few days are going to be good, and it was. There was a lot better. The
Future Game Show was amazing again.
Future Game Show was great.
Honestly, that show hits every single time. So I don't like. It's to the point I don't know why that's not considered like one of the
it should be a show
shows, because it is because.
But I mean, like a primary, yeah.
Oh, I got you, yeah, because it is genuinely good every single time they have it, and and they put money into it to they always have. Usually, Laura Bailey is the female co-host, and a lot of times they have Troy Baker. Well, this time they had, I don't know her name, but the girl who played Sadie in Red Dead Redemption 2, and they had, I don't know his name, but the guy that plays Michael in Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's like, but nonetheless, it's like these are actually quality voice actors. Like these people know what they're doing.
Yeah, it
So
was
like
cool to
like
see
like
them
it's
on
not
there.
the like absolutely insane cringe like we had at that god awful PC gaming show, which
I think that one
that's
takes
not
the cake over Gamescom, but
that was the worst I've ever seen. That was probably the
but
worst
the
show I've ever seen.
chat was the saving grace on
Yes,
that
it
one
was.
for sure. And yeah, because Gamescom, the games that were announced, we already knew about, we already saw.
We got a couple announcements,
We
but
got a couple like
a lot of it was,
Mafia at the end. That was
oh
cool.
yeah, that was great.
So I'm excited for that one.
Well, we got not during ONL, but we did get the Sniper Elite.
The Sniper Elite,
What the hell is it called? Sniper Elite Revolution or something like that?
Resistance, I think.
Yeah. I assume the guy's probably.
But that wasn't shown at Gamescom, and neither was Adam's Fall. Which
Adam Fall was a future game show. You're right.
Yeah,
that was a future game show.
And Adam Fall looks fantastic. I'm excited for that one.
I heard someone say they didn't think it looked too good. It might have been, it was either Lord Cog or Maddie. I was listening to one of them on the Finding Duke, and I was like, man, I don't agree. I thought that looked really good.
I think it looks good. But Rebellion hasn't let me down that I can remember, so I'm excited for it.
I think one of them I think said played it, and they thought the AI was kind of broken, and that may very well be. Obviously, I didn't play it, so I can't say. But we still got some time. I mean,
we still got a while before that.
Probably a pretty early build, but no, I was. What was that first revealed? Was that
which one?
Summer Game Fest, Adam Fall.
I don't even remember. I thought this was the reveal.
No, it was revealed before. Well, it was shown briefly, but this was a little bit more of a deep dive as to how it worked.
Gotcha.
It might have been the Xbox show because I think you and me were talking about it.
It might have been because this one they announced, or it might have been announced back then too, that it's on Game Pass for console and PC. So
yeah,
it probably was.
Xbox would make sense then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it looks a little bit more in depth than I thought it would. Like it obviously has, and actually I liked that in this video. Again, this is Future Game Show, not ONL, but the guy like wasn't shy about saying what the inspirations were. Like he specifically said BioShock. He specifically said
which
Fallout,
is fine.
And there was one he didn't say that I was like, man, I would include that. I forget what it is, but not actually. Also, it definitely looks like Atomic Heart. It definitely has like that kind of look to it as well. But it's also a cool setting. It's like I think it's
was it like 1970s?
No, it's before
Ireland
that. That's Britain. You can tell looking at the phone booths that it's England.
I
think it's like right after World War II, so it might be like the early 50s, maybe. It might even be in the late 40s.
No, I think you're right. Yeah,
but I mean, I like that. That's a cool setting. I think it's alternate history, which we both said. I love alternate history.
Alternate history all the way. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking for that one. I'm definitely gonna be keeping an eye on that.
Genshin Impact for the Xbox. What did you do? I was trying to think of what else. If there was something new that was shown, and I can't. Nothing that interested me.
There were a couple things of Future Game Show, but not so much during ONL.
Yeah, Future Game Show, but the Gamescom was.
Well, actually, I know we're not going to focus too much on Future Game Show, but I had talked to you about it. I am very interested in this damn game about the stupid cannon. Was it FKPP or something like that? Is the name?
Yeah, and if you look it up on Steam, have you looked it up on Steam?
No, I haven't. But for
the name,
it's
like 2 miles long.
It's an insanely long German name. Like they're actually a German developer.
Yeah.
But the guy described it, and when he showed how it worked, I'm like, that's a good description. It's basically missile command, except you only fire one shot at like an alien invasion. But you fire, you're like manning like a mounted, not a mounted, like a beach defense cannon, right? Like something huge like that. But the point is, it is absurdly convoluted to fire this shot. Like you have to adjust power settings, and then you have to like twist your dial, and then you have to raise the cannon, and then you have to lead it. And like he showed it, and like it took like 10 commands to fire one shot. And then you're sitting there watching, go like, "Am I gonna hit? Am I gonna hit?" I'm like, that is honestly a really cool. That is a cool idea. Like that is genuinely something pretty unique. And I'm like,
exactly.
Now that said, I think they only announced it for PC, and I mean, I guess you could make it for console.
Only PC, yeah.
Boy, that would be hard to do with a controller though, because all you need to do a good bit of precision. So mouse and keyboard almost looks like the way to do it.
Yeah.
But is that right? Is it FKPP? Or I'm sorry, no. It's F something KK. KK is because Commandant is the last part of the word.
It's F.
Maybe it's FVKK, something like that.
I don't know, because now it was just funny because when I looked it up on Steam, like you said, it's like a 5-mile long freaking name.
Keep talking. I'll find it because I do want to get the name right because this game looks awesome.
I'm just trying to look at the list here of other things. Oh wait, A Dying Light announced to the Beast, which is like a standalone, but also if you own the Ultimate Edition of Dying Light 2, it comes with it for free, which is fantastic for the devs on that because they said it was going to be like 20 hours of gameplay.
Yeah,
so
it originally started as their second DLC, but
yep,
kind of like, sorry, Silken, it kind of like Hollow Knight Silk Song. Not that you would know what that's like, of course, but you got what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah, it just kind of kept growing as they were doing it, and they said, well, we do need to, pretty much honor the fact that this was supposed to be free, so they're including it. But it looks really good. Brings back the protagonist of the first game, which is cool. Damn, where's their future game show channel?
Yeah, what else was there? For me, anyways, Dune Awakening. I am so excited for that game. So excited.
Which one? Oh, Dune. Gotcha.
Dune Awakening. Yeah, it takes place before the movies and everything like that. So I can't wait for that one. That one's gonna be good. What else do we? Sniper Elite. We talked about. We'll go into Indiana Jones in a minute. Borderlands 4 was announced for 2025, but no release date, no gameplay. Starfield was the Shattered Skies, comes out September 30th?
Yes.
Correct. I think. And then of course the vehicles in now.
Yes, that released that day, which was Tuesday, right?
Yeah. But other than that, there really wasn't much. Revenge of the Savage Planet, I'm excited for. I really liked the first one. I laughed a lot at that one. But yeah, other than that, there was a bunch of like mobile stuff. I did really enjoy the trailer for Goat Simulator Remaster. I thought that was pretty funny, where it just basically made fun of bugs in games.
PVKK.
PVKK.
Okay, so what it stands for, and I'm gonna butcher the hell out of this, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway.
It's so stupid.
It is.
Looking at it.
Right hold on, actually. It is Planeten Vertide Gungska Non Canon Common something like
just
that.
Put it in chat. It's the dumbest thing. Oh my god.
That's the actual name. We're not making it up. That is the real name.
That's the name. So yeah, that's Avowed wasn't Ellery in chat screamed out Avowed. It wasn't showed at Gamescom, but Xbox did it after, and I am so excited for that game. I am so excited. I loved Pillars 1 and Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, so I'm super excited to get back to that world in a first person, third person view of it. I think it's gonna be great. I love Obsidian.
I was glad to hear that a lot of people that were at Gamescom got hands on with it, and actually they said it felt pretty good.
Yep.
They did say the combat still felt well. They didn't play it that way. They played it on PC.
The correct way.
What surprised me was because they said that it actually looks better than we think it does, and that's surprised because I was like, it looks like a fun game. Like, I'm excited for it, but I was not impressed with it graphically. But they actually said it actually does look pretty good. It just doesn't translate too well, I guess, in the trailers.
And Ellery just pointed out to me that there is a park ranger simulator, and I'm looking at it on Steam right now. I'm not usually a fan of these simulator games. There's a few out there that are cool and funny and stuff, but I might have to jump in on this one.
What's the context of Park Ranger with you? What am I missing?
Manage your own park facility in a huge open world. Take on all the tasks that need to be completed as a park ranger, alone or together, in cross-platform multiplayer. That's right. You have a variety of vehicles and equipment at your disposal to complete the challenges ahead. I think that could be fun.
You always got Mars Attacks then if you want it too.
What's that?
Mars Attacks. Remember that the Mars Attacks theme park game?
Yeah, like that got announced. A Mars Attacks game got announced, and I was like, sweet, because I heard about it first before seeing anything, and I was like, oh, it's a like a park builder
it's
type
like
of
Planet
thing.
Coaster, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
It is the weirdest use of that license, that's
Right?
for sure.
It would have been great to run around as one of the Mars people,
Oh
just
god,
yelling stupid things and just zapping stuff. I
destroy
would
all
have bought it
humans 3.
immediately. But that is now added to my wish list along with like 20 other games. Or I have 61 games on my wish list right now.
Yeah, like Ellery says here, my obsession with SnowRunner.
I still haven't played those
not,
games.
don't,
Mm.
because if you like it, it's a black hole you won't get
Suck
back out
in.
of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And well, I was talking to Ellery and I said, like, you don't realize quite how big that game is until you really start to try to do stuff. Like the base game is huge, and the DLC, of which there has been a lot, is honestly so they're all obviously smaller than the actual main game or whatever, but all of them together is probably bigger than the main game. Like there is an absurd amount of content in that game now. But
yeah,
like I said, that review spot on. You you spend 3 hours transporting logs, and then you tip over the truck and you have to explain to your dad why you were crying at 3 a.m. Best game ever made.
Sending me that. Oh god. Yeah, and I think one of the bigger things, of course, out of Gamescom was what everybody's talking about, the indie going to PS5 announcement, what, in like 5 months later?
It just said spring, so
spring, so
4 or 5 months probably.
Yeah, which
so okay, so to be abundantly clear on this, anybody that was surprised it's coming to PS5 has not been paying attention, because it was as clear as day is long that game was coming to PS5, no matter what they did or did not say in February or whatever it was. What was surprising is that they announced it already. That's a weird choice.
Yeah. It is a weird choice because you'd think you'd want to like keep it a little quiet, so more Game Pass. But to go to XEP's podcast earlier, someone in their chat had said, I liked that they announced it because I'm a PlayStation owner, and it's cool to know right now that I can wait and I know it's coming at some point. So I get it from that standpoint, but from a business standpoint,
what might have been smart to say is, in the future, we plan to bring this to other platforms.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that means. Everybody knows exactly what that means, but you don't say it. But to announce it also as one more thing, by the way.
Yeah.
like that was a kick in the balls to Xbox fans. And then, like there was, it took away any excitement from the Xbox. I mean, not that it was an announcement, and I mean, the whole discussion is this is pretty much, to a lot of people, kind of defeating the point of having an Xbox.
Yeah, it's
and I know some people disagree, but I don't think that's an unreasonable opinion. Like,
no, because
I think
for me right now, and it's not like I'm not mad at all in any way that this is coming to another system. Machine Heads deserves all the credit for the game. People should be able to play games where they want to play games, blah blah blah. But as a person, I personally like Xbox. Which is,
what I've said a long time, and I don't know if they're going to stick to it, especially with the rumors of, the rumor for a while there was Forza Horizon was what they were going to announce. Again, I knew this game was coming to PlayStation. They could deny it all they wanted. Xbox fans could deny it all they want. It was obviously coming to PlayStation, which does make it weird that they then redid that agreement. But it was obviously going to happen, especially when they started doing, some of their internal stuff. What I think Xbox should do is your ZeniMax games and your Activision games, those are going to be multi-platform, just like they always were. And it's like, so nothing changes there. Right. But like, I don't care what anybody says, the minute Gears of War or Halo come to PlayStation, you might as well wrap it up. You might as well wrap it up.
And that's what I'm worried about, because right now, to me, I feel like Xbox is just a publisher now. And it, because they're not talking about future console and stuff like that. And I'm a very person that likes to have a console. I don't want to stream anything. So I was thinking about it during the week. I saw a couple like Xbox games on sale physical, and I was like, should I buy these physical? Because I don't know in 5 years or whatever if Xbox is going to have a console. And what if this one breaks and then I can't play this physical game? And it's just like, there's so much confusion up right now for me. Anyways, like, just tell us what you're going to do, whatever it is. Just tell us what you're going to do, because
Yeah,
I want to know.
that's my thing with Phil Spencer, and this came up on XCP today too. They said he technically didn't lie, and that is true, but he obfuscated like Phil Spencer. I don't know if I said his name or not. He obfuscated what was happening so plainly to the point, like, yeah, technically he's not lying, but can you believe a word he says anymore? Or do you gotta, like, this is why now every statement he makes, everybody looks at what he didn't say to see what he actually said. And more often than not, they're right, because you can't trust them anymore, because they just can't be straight up about anything.
No.
It's so frustrating.
And like Ellery said in chat, didn't Sarah Bond talk about exciting hardware announcements later in the year? Was it the 1 terabyte S, or should we expect something else by the end of the year? And I think Sarah was talking about the terabyte, the 2 terabyte and the 1 terabyte Xboxes.
It was also the digital only X.
Yeah, the digital only Xbox X or Series
round
X.
one. Yeah, the round one.
Yep. And then there's the 1 terabyte S, and then there's also the 2 terabyte Black Galactic, which I love the look of.
That does look awesome. Now that one does look really cool.
But so is like Ellery said, is that what the announcement was? Like,
I thought there was rumors that they were going to, and I mean, I guess technically they still could, but I don't know when, that they were going to announce this. Remember a couple months ago, the patents leaked on some controller thing, but it wasn't
supposed to be a controller.
Yeah, it wasn't this one that they showed. So maybe it was that.
No,
too,
no,
actually, that
it was. It's
controller.
supposed to have like the adaptive, like the PS5.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought it was something a little bit different than that.
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have adaptive controllers and stuff. Adaptive triggers and stuff.
They did ask. Well, they don't have adaptive control, or not triggers, but they do have the rumble triggers already. Like they had that even last gen with the one, I think. Maybe it was just the series consoles. I don't remember, but like the triggers have rumble in them, assuming the game supports it, which very little does. But
yeah.
It's most noticeable if you play like a racing game, because you'll notice, like, if the brakes are locking up or whatever, the triggers will feel a bit different. But not a whole lot of things supported it. Whereas right away if something on PlayStation supports the adaptive triggers,
right?
Because it'll have it'll have a hard stop, not a hard stop, but it'll have like a soft stop in it to show you when it's clicking over, for example. I do believe. In reference to what Ellery just asked, I do believe that is what they were referring to. Now, she has also said that they are working on the next console, and she just can't help herself but to say
and
the most powerful leap and whatever. It's like, you just didn't learn your lesson the last time.
And I know they've said that, but they've also said a lot of other things too. And I'm like, I don't know what to believe anymore. So I need concrete.
I'm with you.
Not just saying things. I need concrete.
I'm with you. I don't think it's unreasonable to be excited for the games that Xbox has coming out, because they have a solid library. In the next 2 or 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't understand how anybody can be excited for their direction as a platform holder, because
they're just a glorified publisher right now.
They're barely a platform holder at this point, and that's my frustration with them. Like, I'm not console warring when I say this. Everybody knows I'm probably a bigger PlayStation fan than I am an Xbox, but I am an Xbox fan.
Yep.
I want Xbox to exist, and I don't care what anybody says. I don't think the Game Pass is enough to continue existing. I just don't. You have to have exclusives to get people in your ecosystem, because
with them, like, they have to have a console because they have so many other physicals that's still out there. But when you think of just the United States alone, the infrastructure just does not. You cannot do streaming in like 70% of the area, not correctly, anyways. And how are you going to stream a game and play it online with no lag? It's just not going to happen.
Silknet obviously can give us a bit more detail on that, but I have heard that there are certain areas of Europe where streaming works almost like it's native, and there are other areas where it's worse than it is in the States. I have no idea which one France would qualify in. He might be able to tell us. He might not. I don't know if he tried. But I want to say it's like, I think Germany was supposed to be awful for streaming, whereas maybe England was pretty good, because they've obviously got a pretty But maybe I'm backwards. Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe England sucks and Germany was great. I don't know.
But yeah,
the
infrastructure
States, it's
doesn't.
just not an option here in the
No.
States for.
So at one point they have to do it, but I still don't know. I just don't know, which sucks.
It's very frustrating because I don't want Xbox to go anywhere, even if they're constantly in third place. I don't care.
That's fine because
their position means nothing to me. What matters to me is that they have good stuff coming out and that they have good hardware. Well, that latter part almost definitely isn't going to keep happening. The first probably is at this point, but I don't want them to just become a publisher, but it's clearly the direction that they're heading.
Yeah, and I don't like you said, even if they're in third place, that's fine. They have to have a presence because I know Nintendo is considered a console. Whatever the Switch 2 is going to be, it's going to be a handheld console that isn't. It's going to be great. It's going to sell millions of units, but it's not going to be like that graphically powerful, type of system. And
it's
if
the
Sony
same
is
enough to be competition, but it's different enough to not be direct competition.
Exactly. Yeah. So if Sony is the only one making consoles that is your main console, I don't want them to have that market because they will say this is what's going to happen and you're going to like it. And what are you going to there's nothing you can do about it.
They already did it with the PS5. It doesn't matter. Everybody says like PS5 is the most arrogant Sony we've ever seen. It's just they haven't been as outward about it as they were in PS3. In PS3, they got humbled pretty hard for 2 years.
Real quick.
And what happened? They fixed it, and when all was said and done, the hardware might have been ass. But look back at PS3's library. PS3 had a hell of a library when all was said and done.
And then
but the Xbox One was so garbage and never ever got back to where it needed to be.
Jesus,
to the point
that was rough.
But by the same token, the PS4 was legitimately incredible.
PS4 was fantastic.
It was a complete opposite. It's like PS4. PS4's hardware, when all was said and done, wasn't the greatest either. I mean, neither was the ones, but the library, you couldn't even dispute that it was.
Yeah,
the biggest Sony naysayer. That's like third or fourth best console in history in terms of library, right? Like it's not
without a doubt.
It's not even a debate. But the Xbox One was so bad, and they never quite got it to the point that they ended up having to immediately transition their attention to the Series generation instead. So Sony just ran away with it, and now what happens? Because they were so dominant, they transitioned immediately to PS5, where the same group of people continue to buy it, which, to be fair, will probably continue on even so, no matter what they do or do not. But so despite making what, in my opinion, is a pretty subpar console in a lot of ways, now I don't have a whole lot of positive things to say about the Series console either, but I'm pretty disappointed in the PS5 myself. I do like the controller, but that's about it. But you see what's happening. Sony themselves are just not releasing games. Now, they have done a good job on their second party publishing side, especially dealing with China, with Wukong, which I do actually have to come back to that. I forgot we never did come back to that. And as well as some of the other things they've got going on. But Sony themselves are just not making. I mean, they clearly are making games, but they're not showing them or releasing them.
Because I don't think we have a first party game from them until something like fall next year.
Well,
I think I heard
technically Concord was first party because they did buy Firewall, so that actually does count as first party. But outside of that, well, no, Astrobot's also first party. That's next week.
Yep.
After that, though, the only other thing that I can think of that we know about for sure, not counting the show, I'm sure the show will come out in March or April, would be Wolverine. I think that's.
I was going to say, and I think that's fall. I think they said supposedly,
rumored.
Yeah. But yeah, well, since we mentioned Concord, let's hit on Concord because I've got some ideas on Concord.
Do you care if I talk about Wukong first? And we
no, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. I haven't played it, so
Silken, based on what you said, actually, you have played a little further than me. I have not finished the first chapter yet, although I think I am probably fairly close. I beat. I forget his name, but the guy that sprinkles poison ash on you or whatever. I beat that guy, and that's when I turned it off. No, okay. So first of all, for those who have asked, and I know Silken had actually confirmed this in the Discord, since a lot of people for some reason seem to think I was wrong. This game is not a Souls-like. It's absolutely not a Souls-like. The only area in this entire game that is even Souls-like-ish is the respawn system in terms of when you rest, you respawn enemies. That's it. That's it. Because when you die, you don't drop your currency, you know, whatever, anything like that. This does not play like a Souls-like in terms of combat. Nothing like that. It is much more along the lines of a Devil May Cry or an old style God of War, not God of War 2018, but like PS2, PS3 God of Wars, right? Like God of War 1 through 3, or Ascension, I guess technically. It is fun. It is definitely good. It's definitely a good looking game. You can see where certain I don't say shortcuts, but certain areas had to be, you know, lessened a little bit to make it work. Particularly in like really linear aspect of the world you're running through. But that's okay. This isn't a game that I think would be particularly fun to be wandering around in an open world anyway. But the combat is fun. It's not the deepest combat. As far as I can tell, you don't really have any more than like a single combo outside of using your heavy attack, which that changes based on the 3 stances that you use. And then when you're doing it, if you build up like a focus point partway through it, then you can use your heavy attack to switch it to cause like a varied combo or something like that. I will say the game does not teach you certain aspects of it very well. I actually had to look up like certain things in the skill tree. I looked up, I'm like, I don't understand how this works. I had to look up, and I saw people on Reddit everywhere saying like, I don't understand this either, but they figured it out and explained it to somebody else. But I do like it. I really like the whole Journey to the West thing. I think that's kind of cool. Although for those who don't know, the story does work assuming that you know Journey to the West. It does not tell you who any of these characters are or anything like that. Now, I don't know anything about them. But so the reality is most people in the States that play this have no idea what's going on because
right
now in China they all do because Journey to the West is almost like a Bible over there, I guess. But over in the States, I don't think too many people have read it. I could be wrong about that, but no, I do like it. It's very pretty. And what's also interesting, and actually this kind of goes back to the not being a Souls-like thing, is the bosses can be tough. I've heard people say it's easy, and I don't agree with that. I think they can be tough, but it's nowhere near like your typical Souls difficulty. And the enemies in between the bosses are mostly pushovers. A couple of them last a little longer than others, but the chances of them killing you are not very high. Whereas obviously in a typical Souls game, typically a regular enemy can kill you if you're not paying attention in 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that anybody afraid of it, the bosses can be tough. I don't believe they're excruciatingly difficult. Like even the toughest ones that I fought, I don't think we're anywhere near some Souls boss difficulties. So I know some people are kind of being scared off of it, thinking it's like extremely difficult. IGN's review, the guy actually said, now he beat it, to be fair, I've not gone that far, but he said that it was Mitchell Saltzman, I think, as he reviewed it. He said that there were bosses that he found harder than any of the bosses in Shadow of the Erdtree, which I'm like, man, I don't know how that's possible.
I haven't even played Wukong, and I'm like, I don't know about that one.
I mean, considering the legendary difficulty of the final boss of that, yeah. But so I do want to say, like, if you were scared off by the difficulty, I'm not saying go out and buy it, because obviously if you don't like it, you're screwed. But watch some videos, because I don't think it's going to be quite as difficult as you might have worked it up in your head that it is, because it's not really that hard.
Yeah. I'll definitely get to it at some point when it goes probably on a sale. But yeah, you good on
yeah. I just wanted to do that before I forgot about it, because I forgot to go back to it earlier.
That's fine, because I would have forgotten, because especially since I haven't played it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Conquered came out. I don't know how it's doing on PlayStation. I'm sure hopefully selling better than PC, because
it has to be better than Steam.
PC, I think the highest as it was 647 concurrent players, which is abysmal. That is insanely terrible. I feel bad for the devs to see it on there like that, because literally Lord of the Rings Golem last year, which is literally one of the worst games ever made, had more concurrent players than that, which it sucks to see, because 8 years of development time and $100 million to make. So even if, because going forward, and it's getting reviewed well on places, most places. Most people on Steam that are playing it like it. It's just not. It's coming out at a bad time. It's not resonating with a lot of people, but they plan on releasing like story for their seasons to go forward, which is a great idea, except if your game doesn't sell well, and they said that they weren't going to charge for future seasons. So it's a $40 game. If it cost 100 million to make and it doesn't sell, and you're not selling a season pass to get money, who's funding them to keep on making these stories to go forward in that? There's no way that Sony's going to fund that when it's not making them money.
Mm-hmm.
So I want it to do well, and I would like to see it after a few seasons once they get some more maps, sort out some not bugs, but that's what I'm looking for, just to make everything even type of thing between balancing, thank you, between heroes and stuff, and to get a few stories in there so you can go through those stories, because a lot of people aren't jumping in right now. Granted, we don't know the PlayStation numbers, but if it's only
I just tried looking up the PlayStation numbers.
Yeah, I've looked.
It does sound like it's not as bad as Steam.
Yeah, which I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's selling more, but
well, yeah, it'd be hard to do much worse than Steam.
Yeah,
but that said, that's in ways that's not surprising, because there's obviously a lot more competition on Steam.
Yep.
But most of those same things are on PlayStation at the same token. But
yeah.
No, I agree with Silkenit. I think let me find it here. This one, Silkenit and Ellery. There were, if nothing else, I wanted to do well just to put a nail in the everything has to be free to play discussion.
Yeah,
and there's no question. I mean, I am on the record as saying I don't like the free to play model. I have never liked it, and I will never like it.
Yeah,
but there's no disputing that has been a major hurdle for this game.
Yeah, because I was looking for, like, I played the beta. It was okay. I was maybe buying it on a sale or something, not when it comes out or when it came out. Because I am interested in the characters and that story is trying to portray. I just don't see how they are going to let this dev team to keep on making content and costing them money when they're not getting money from anything.
Yeah, here's the total catch-22 when it comes to this. So this is effectively Sony's second of their games as a service initiative, if you will, right? The first one was Helldivers, which was I think they thought they were putting that one out to die, and it actually ended up succeeding. Yep. I think they thought they were putting this one out to succeed, and it's clearly dying. But here's the irony of this. If this game in 3 weeks has 25 people playing it, Sony cannot kill it. They have to keep it going. No matter what. If there is 10 people playing this game, you have to keep this game alive, or else you are putting a nail in the head of your entire games.
Yeah, because anything coming out in the future,
nobody can trust you then. Nobody can trust you.
Yeah, anything coming out in the future, people aren't going to buy it because they're going to be thinking, if I spend $10 for this skin or whatever, the server is going to go down in 6 months and I can't play it.
I even have seen some of that with this, where people were like, hey, I like the beta, I kind of like what I've seen, but I see the bad numbers and I don't want to buy this and it not do well.
Right.
What's gonna really be the telltale sign is clearly in 2 months this game's gonna be on PlayStation, PS Plus.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna have to. Like, there's not gonna be. They've got to do something to bump it up, and they'll have to like hope that they get like a Rocket League out of this, right? Like Rocket League was one of those cases where going as a free title was the best thing they ever did, because
I think
they gave it for a month, but by doing that, it became a massive seller, right? It was never going to sell had they not done that.
No.
Concord, they're going to have to do that to try and jumpstart a community, and if they could do that, they might be able to breathe life back into it. But they have to stick with it. They've got to do the Ubisoft method and just say, hey, we know this is struggling right now. We cannot abandon this, or we're done. We're dead in the water. And
like you said, they won't any live service project ahead that's done by them.
No one would buy into it. No one will ever buy into it then. And here's another thing going against this. So as we've discussed in the past, typically most games have to have their unique hook or whatever, right? This game's generally like unique hook is that it has this this progressive story and all that stuff, right? Like I
Mhm.
think it's weekly is what they said they're doing new cutscenes and stuff like that. And I mean, hey, based on what I saw in the beta, like they're well made. It's kind of
Yeah.
hokey. It's kind of hokey and cheesy,
Right.
but they're well made. I mean, they're well acted. They're very well animated. But did you notice something when you play the game? It has nothing to do whatsoever with what you just watched.
No. Yeah.
Nothing.
There's
Like
nothing.
like the
Yeah.
opposing sides, you're still playing as it's
Yeah.
not like you have Team Orange has these 10 characters to pick from, and Team Blue has these 10.
Right.
You pick from the entire roster no matter what team you're on, and you play against the entire roster no matter what team they're on. So it's like
Yeah. I feel like the
it's
story.
very weird. It almost makes you wonder why they opted for this
And
story and lore and all that stuff.
I think the story that they tell is that it doesn't matter what the characters or anything, but I think the maps are going to be the story
I
type of
guess,
thing.
yeah,
But
but
that's like, I don't, or how they introduce new maps is this group going to a new area and stuff, which I guess, but
and
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
no, I'm not bad mouthing the lore thing. Like I know Ellery said that they thought that was pretty cool when
Oh yeah,
I think it was Steven Totillo was talking about it, and like I'm not saying it's not, but it's just
no,
like the fact that it has no real ties aside from the actual characters to what you're playing is just weird. It
right. And it's not like you're working towards something like you said, an orange team or a blue
mm,
team. And if orange team wins, the story goes this way, or the blue
right,
team wins,
right.
we go. At least it's, even if it's something little like that, at least you think you're putting something towards that story.
Like if it was more of a I, now I did not watch that cutscene. I watched the one you had to watch in the beginning, and I really didn't. I just wanted to see what the game played like when we
Yeah,
played the
I
beta.
did too. I skipped. I
Yeah. Um,
skipped.
so I'm speaking hypotheticals here, but I assume that most of these people are probably like friends and whatnot on this ship together. That seems to be the
Yeah,
general gist. If it worked that like when you're on this map, that the giant garbage can guy and the Asian lady with the crossbow and this guy and that guy are on one side because they had an argument with the
yeah,
robot sniper and this person, this person. I mean, okay, at least that makes sense, right? At least
right.
then, like, even if you make the team options change on a map by map basis, that would make sense. At least there would be like logic and reasoning to it. But when it's like, hey, you watch something and it's basically Guardians of the Galaxy, them being buddy buddy and talking about
Yeah,
whatever mission they're going on, then you go into a map and you're just choosing from all of them, and you're like, it's like, okay, that's weird. There's just a complete dissonance there. There's no connection to what you're playing versus what you watched, and that disconnect might not in and of itself be a reason for failure. I'm not saying it is at all, but it's also not going to be a reason for success when you do that either. Like I think you kind of got to find a way to tie the two together in some way to create a reasoning for what's happening on to what you're playing to what's happening when you're watching it in a video. You know what I'm saying?
hmm yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not much more you can say about it. I want it to succeed because 8 years of development time. It's a lot for that dev team to go through, and then you don't want
Now,
it to die.
there is something about like you're right. They have said that themselves. I believe that it's not technically 8 years of what we got. It's 8 years
Mm.
of making it because at some point,
I'm sure
about
it was like
halfway
an
through,
idea, and they started
no,
it at, yeah.
about halfway through, like I think when Sony bought them, I think what they had was mostly completely restarted as something new. So
Uh,
so what we actually got was probably more like 5 plus maybe, you had a couple models made, you had like basics of things. But I think the actual final product, I don't think it's actually been a full 8 years for what we actually got. But maybe I'm
yeah, it's
wrong. But
probably like the
that's how I
idea of it
understand that.
started 8 years ago, type of thing.
Because that game was well into development when Sony bought Firewalk.
Yep.
And my understanding is they did change a fair bit once Sony bought them. Like, I don't know what they changed, but
Yeah,
that's
they
just what
probably
I've
got some
heard.
extra cash in there,
Oh,
was
sure.
able
I'm
to
sure
work
there was a
on
lot more money
something.
put
But
into it. Yeah.
was there any other games that you wanted to talk about or anything like that before we get into our question of around the nerd?
Off the top of my head, nothing that I can really think of.
Silkenet in chat, we'll touch on this. Silkenet in chat says, so after Concord, how concerned should I be for Marathon? I think you should be very concerned, even though it's Bungie and it's going to have a huge group of people that will try it. I say I'm going to try it because it's Bungie. I'll try it. But at the same time, we don't know really what it looks like. It's an extraction shooter, which
Although even that's changed. It still is an extraction shooter, but it's a different kind one now than what it originally was
Yeah,
supposed to be, I guess.
so I don't know. I don't know if you should be concerned. I think it's still
I say
too early to
50-50 on
tell.
that
Yeah,
because
I think
I
it's
can see
still
that going either way.
It's too early to tell. And I say Bungie's name is attached to it, but it's not the same team. It's not the Bungie we know or we grew up with. It's kind of like when people say, "Oh, I really want Banjo-Kazooie 2. I want Rare to do Banjo-Kazooie 3 or
Shout out
whatever."
Kevin Ainsworth.
Yeah, I am. And even me, like I liked Banjo. However, I know if Rare did it right
Yeah,
now,
it's not the
it's
same Rare.
not the same
Yeah.
people. So it's not
Oh,
going to be the same game.
actually, an even more obvious case of that there are still people out there in certain corners of the internet that want Naughty Dog to make a new Jak and Daxter. There is no bigger Jak and Daxter fan on earth than me. I love the first 3 games. I
So
don't
good.
even. X was okay, and I don't even acknowledge Lost Frontier. Daxter was also very good. But the team that made Jak and Daxter is not the team that is making The Last of Us. They
Right.
are totally different. Like
Yeah.
that team, like not even joking. The team that makes The Last of Us probably doesn't even know how to make Jak and Daxter because they
Right.
are a completely different group of people now.
Right. So when thinking about Marathon, I can't instantly go, "Oh, it's Bungie. It's going to be good." It's Bungie isn't
But-
Bungie the way anymore.
But it is the Bungie that did release what's it called? Final Shape or whatever the hell it's called.
I think so. Which it has been
regardless
good
how
reviewed,
it is supposed to be excellent.
Yeah.
So like obviously there is still talent there, although how much of it now after incompetent leadership has resulted in being gutted. But so I'm going to say 50-50 on that, Silking It, because
yes, we haven't seen actual gameplay or anything yet.
Right. For some reason, Sony does seem to be willing to give Bungie a longer leash than some other ones. Although that might change after the most recent, thing. But by the same token, the fact that it is Bungie alone will probably result in it selling well.
Yeah.
So you probably don't have to worry about sales numbers being an issue in terms of keeping it alive. That probably Bungie's name alone is probably going to do that.
Yeah, Bungie's name, and also people that play Destiny 2 are going to be like, well, let's try it because it's the new Bungie game. So, Ellery in chat, where in the past we would talk about games via the studio, perhaps there will be a shift and talk about games via the specific people working on it.
What's interesting is actually this exact idea came up on last week's Bitcast.
Yeah.
Because Hogue and Travis had a very opposing. I forget what game they were specifically talking about, but Travis, for example, was of the mind that the people at the studio are not what was particularly relevant in terms of. I'm trying. I don't want to misquote him, and I think I kind of am. But basically, the idea was I don't remember what they were talking about. Maybe Nissa can remember because I know she was in there. They were talking about like, hey, whatever game this is, this studio has a good track record, but it's a different group of people, right? So does that mean that this doesn't, this isn't relevant to their future games they develop? And Travis said that his take was more on the studio's like history and all that stuff, as opposed to the individuals working on it. He said he's not saying that the individuals don't matter, but he thinks that more specifically like their pedigree is what's relevant, whereas Hogue was very much on I don't think the studio itself even makes a difference at all. I think it matters who's making on it. And Ains even said he kind of falls very much in the middle. And I side way more with Hogue on this, but I understand Travis's point, and I don't think he's wrong. I just think that I think it's, let's say 80% the people there and 20% the pedigree of the studio. Because to be fair, even if the people are different, the studio typically, when they're hiring people that are talented in that particular field, right?
Right.
So Bungie, for example, let's just say hypothetically, Bungie starts to rehire these 300 people that they just laid off, right? They're not going to go out and hire Forza Motorsport people. They're not going to go out. They're not going to go out and hire. Actually, they might get some people from Naughty Dog, but they're not going to hire like people that don't fit their culture. They're going to hire someone from. I mean, actually, technically, Firewalk are ex-Bungie in a lot of cases, but they're going to hire someone from them. They're going to hire someone from, maybe the Borderlands team who does the You know, that it's just an example, right? So I get what he's saying, and he's not wrong about that. But it is the people that make something, whether it is high quality or
and
not.
their
So I do think
guidance
that
through
that's
the
more relevant.
process. The guidance through the process and stuff. It's like back in the day of like the early Dragon Age, and before that, the Baldur's Gates and stuff. When BioWare didn't, west of the original team, they could put anything out, and I'd be like, I'm buying it without even seeing a video on it. They'd be like, oh,
Well,
BioWare's working on this. Okay, I'm buying it. Now,
by the
I'm
same
still
token,
excited, but
BioWare was essentially an extension of Black Isle when they shut Black Isle, like, which is why they had that pedigree with. I don't. Was Baldur's Gate Black Isle or was that BioWare? I don't remember which.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it was BioWare. I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure.
But but nonetheless, they were people that came from Black Isle Studios who were making those CRPGs, and they realized like, hey, we got shuttered, even though we know what we're doing. Let's make a new studio and keep doing this, and so they kind of stayed together. So yeah, you're right. Like the pedigree of the studio itself is technically nothing, but the pedigree of the people who made that was great, and so you did carry it on. But again, I don't want to discount what Travis is saying because he is right. Like there's definitely relevance to what he's saying. I just don't think that that's the majority of it. I think the people making it is much more relevant than the studio's history.
For sure. What else was that? There was something else. Kingdom Come 2 gameplay was fantastic.
I haven't watched it actually.
Super excited to play it, as everybody knows. It looks really good. I know you didn't look at the gameplay. Gameplay looks.
I probably will, but I generally don't want to see, like, I'm not particularly like, oh, I don't want to see anything about something. But with that, it's like the thing is that game was so unique and so different.
Yeah,
that seeing anything other than how gameplay systems worked for me was like, oh man, I really wish I had not seen this, because it just takes such a different approach to everything than what those types of games do. So I really do want to go into that relatively blind.
Yeah,
but I also really do want to see kind of like how it all works now compared to the first one.
It's the same, just better.
I was glad to hear that they kept the star combat thing.
Yes,
because I had heard they were talking about maybe doing it. I'm like, no, don't keep that.
Right,
That's
that.
A unique and good system.
Yep. It was a great like sword, like there's other games like Chivalry and stuff like that. That's their way of doing it. Perfect. So that's coming out. I can't wait for that. February as well as what Avowed's February too, right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, Kingdom Come definitely takes precedence for me. I'm way more excited for that. I'm excited for Avowed, but I'm way more excited for Kingdom Come.
I know. If we had mods right now, I would tell them to silence Silken It right now. Silken It and chat.
Go ahead. You can do it.
Silken It in chat. I'm sure most anticipated game for everyone now is Masters of Albion. And this is Peter. Is it Molyneux? Molyneux. I don't know how this guy. I know he worked on Fable.
Fraud.
That's kind.
He's a fraud.
I don't know how people are still obsessed with this guy, because he is the biggest hack in gaming history. He always comes out and says the game I'm working on is going to be so grand, and it's ideas that you've never heard of.
It'll be the greatest game ever made. He has said that 5 different times.
Everything is so deep, and you can go in, and it releases. It's a standard goddamn game, and this Masters of Albion that was shown, that better have been like pre alpha footage, because that looked like a dog turd in the rain. It was awful. And he's up there and he's like, we've gotten so deep into all these mannerisms of the character. And it's like, oh, do you want to fight with this guy? Then just move him over here. And it's like, you're not doing anything new here. And it's not deeper than anything that people have worked on. And I don't know how this guy is still around, because he is just such a bold-faced liar.
The most relevant part of it is that he has the balls to actually make it an Albion. Like, that's genuinely the most interesting part of it. And they asked him, they're like, how did you do this? And he said basically because they can't trademark Albion, they can just trademark the name Fable. So he has made it that it is a canonical part of the Fable universe. God. I'm like, well, I'm going to guess that Microsoft disagree, but okay.
And it like Silken had said in chat, he did Black and White and Fable. And when I watched that Masters of Albion, I was like, this is just black and white.
Yeah,
all it is. And and it didn't look any deeper, or black and white looked better. Like, Jesus. Oh.
He also, in his defense, he also was the creator of the game that. I know, was that him?
Was it the Cube?
No, I was thinking of Spore. That actually wasn't him. He wasn't Spore.
No, Spore wasn't him. I liked Spore.
I was gonna make fun of the fact that everything was a penis monster, but
yeah,
that was actually what's his Warren Spector, right?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
And Warren Spector is a genuine genius, so I will not badmouth him. Warren Spector basically created the immersive sim. So
Nissa also in chat. I've said this before, but he was on Gamer Ranks for top 20 scams in game. Easily top 20. God, what a douche. I don't know how.
Remember that stupid ass Connect thing that everyone was all excited about too, where the kind of cute British girl like threw a fake apple at the kid on the.
Oh yeah.
And it's like if you believe that's how that'll actually work, and I don't know what to tell you, because that would be AI that we don't even have yet, let alone back in the 360 days.
Yeah, when they announced him and he came out on stage, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to hear anything this man has to say at all.
Yeah.
God, I can't stand him.
He is a fraud.
Yep. God. Yeah, and then, like, he would talk about Fable 2 and Fable 3 and how deep the the talking and emotional system was in that with talking people, and it was literally your standard talking to people. It was
you press one of 4 icons to do an emote, and then react to that. Yeah,
and then he was like, "Oh, it was so deep." I could go on for an hour.
You remember how even in the first Fable, like you can not do, you can plant an acorn and it grows throughout the game. Yeah, no, the acorn gets planted by somebody in a cutscene, and then when it time jumps 20 years in the future, there's a tree there.
Right.
Like, that's not what you said. That's a totally different thing.
Yeah, and that's how he portrays it too. It's like, oh, something that happens in a cutscene is gameplay, and it's okay. All right, Peter.
Yeah.
Guy. Anyways. I think that's it. Let's go to our segment Around the Nerd. I have a better question this time, or I think I do.
Yeah, you go first.
So I'll start it with. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm bringing this up because Silken just messaged me. Peter Link here. Peter Monolou says Masters of Albion could be his last game due to his smoking and drinking.
I did see that. Yeah, I saw that one.
I don't wish death on the guy, but maybe he'll stop making games.
Yeah, we need him out of the industry.
Jesus Christ! Thank you for
at least this time it is his own team. I guess Lionheart technically was as well, but I think it's only like 4 people is what they said. So it's like if you run into the ground, at least you don't affect too many people this time. Right? Whereas Lionhead, you affected a lot of people.
Yeah, Jesus. So my question popped into my head. I've thought a lot about AI in general, the way it's moving so fast. Out of all the tech that I've seen since I've been a kid, AI is the fastest growing thing to me. Anyways, it's in everything now. And it's just everywhere. It's moving or learning and growing so fast and what it's been put into. But I went and saw Alien Romulus last week, and try not to get too many spoilers here, or I won't name names or anything like that. But it's what caught my attention to like think about this question was a certain character comes back in Romulus. I shouldn't say character.
I did hear reference to this. I don't know who it is, but I did hear reference to it.
So a character comes back. It is completely AI generated or graphics generated of the person. AI voice matches perfectly. The graphics look fantastic. And I think it's an absolute win for the series that this person came back and it's done in the story. I love that he's in it. It was perfect for me. I really quite enjoyed when the scene popped up with him. My hands literally went up in the theater. I was super excited, but it also got me thinking, like, there's no legislation or anything. I tried looking into it and the only thing I could find is that because he passed away. He's dead. The person who portrayed this, and someone asked the widow, like, how do you feel that he was in this movie? And she was like, I think he would be happy because he did enjoy the series and he did enjoy his role. But I was thinking, there's no legislation. They didn't have to ask her to use his likeness, to use his voice, or have AI create his voice or anything like that. And my question is what do you think some type of law or legislation or whatever should be input for, like, not only that, video games, for people who voice act and stuff like that? And I know there's people that have been putting in their contracts, like, you can't use my voice, and there are some actors that have put um in their contracts, like, you can't use my likeness after in the series or whatever. But for people who have passed away and don't have a say, do you think there should be some type of law passed that they need to ask family to get permission or to do background checks to see if they actually enjoyed that role or enjoyed that series for them to use their likeness in a video game using their voice or in a movie?
Well, I was under the
Or
impression.
what do you think your thoughts
I was under
on
the
that?
impression that in a lot of cases they did have to get approval for that. Like, for example, uh, I guess minor spoilers for for Rogue One. Grand Moff Tarkin is in it, and obviously,
Yeah.
what was his name? Is it Peter Wellers, something like that?
I think so, yeah.
He died in the early '90s, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, it might have been the '80s. It's been some time, right? But I want to say they they obviously used CG to briefly reconstruct his character. I don't think that they used AI to redo his voice. I actually thought it was like a sound-alike that they hired, who actually does sound exactly like him. But I was under the impression, actually, I believe they did get the approval of his estate, if you will, like, who, you know, his kids or whatever that hold the rights to him. But yeah, so obviously this is a pretty deep topic because it's especially right now with the SAG-AFTRA strike, largely due to I don't know the details. I don't look into the stuff, but AI has been the major point of consternation there. I fall on the AI isn't the absolute end of the world. AI in terms of this thing is not the end of the world. You know, whenever the Terminators come down, yes, it is the end of the world. But,
Skynet.
right. But in terms of our entertainment medium, they're not the end of the world. But I do believe that a person should have the rights to their person, to their visage, and, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, this kind of goes back to the whole NCAA football game thing, or not just game, just NCAA not giving the players the rights to their names and likenesses. And it's like, well, why does the NCAA get the right to that? You know, like, that's ridiculous. And so I do agree that they should have the ability to put a, I'm trying to think how to best phrase this. Like, I understand why a studio might go, hey, we need to re-record a couple of lines, but we don't want to fly you out to LA to record something that's going to take 10 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
So I think what needs to happen is contracts need to be like, okay, you have the right to do these with our consent within reason. Like, you know, you can't be like, no, I refuse to let you re-record anything without me doing it. Like, I think that's, you know, insane. And you know damn well some of these people are going to do that, right? But within reason, which obviously that's going to have to be defined because that's not a legal definition. But I'm no lawyer, so we can go with that. But within reason, doing something like that would be okay. Little less so on certainly the likenesses, except in terms of like, hey, we need to add a couple of scenes. You know, we're just gonna, again, instead of bringing you out to film you, we're just gonna throw your CG character moving across the screen so fast, you know, you can't tell it's not really you. You know, that's something that's not a big deal. But I think probably what they need to do is their contracts need to have a, you know, after, let's say the movie comes out in 2025, after 2030, something like that, right? Like, you have to completely renegotiate the ability to, you know, so like, not that I'm bad mouthing, but like a perfect example would be obviously the original Star Wars trilogy. Like, you know, like I fully expect Disney to keep manipulating them because Disney likes their
Yeah.
cheddar. Disney likes their
Uh-huh.
cheddar. They're going to keep trying to get some
Yeah.
more money out of it, right? And you know, obviously with Carrie Fisher and the guy who played Chewbacca, I forget his name, having passed away. Not obviously that's a little easier to replace. You just get a very
Right.
tall man because he's in a costume. But Carrie Fisher's
Right.
not so easy to replace, right? You
Yeah.
kind of have to do. I mean, they technically did do it in Last Jedi. They kind of, well, poorly, but they did it. But if you want to do something new with Leia, you can't just have a look-alike because the reality is she had a pretty unique appearance.
Right.
Right. There's not many people that look like Carrie Fisher. So,
No.
but Carrie Fisher's daughter, whose name currently escapes me, you know, she's still around, so she should have the final say in like, okay, you know, yeah, you know, we expect obviously a small bit of kickback for doing this, you know, maybe a
Yeah.
flat rate since it's not like you can do a percentage, but and actually I would imagine, you know, so, it's hard to say because the reality is I don't think anybody, you know, in the 70s when they were making movies, certainly Star Wars, right, which has lasted forever until Disney's gonna do their best to destroy it. But I don't think anybody thought that they had to be like, okay, the residuals got to continue for 70 years, right? Like that's just that's not how you would expect that to go. And this is, I mean, this same idea comes up with music licensing. It's why so many things have to be delisted and stuff like that. It's like it kind of really does go to show in a lot of ways. And I realize I'm kind of getting off topic here, but things really do have to be negotiated in completely different ways now because of things lasting as long as they have. And I would, this is a very complicated and difficult question, but yeah, I would say within reason for a certain period of time, but only for a certain period of time, it should be acceptable.
I think that's,
but there should be a cutoff point. And
yeah.
Now in terms of the SAG-AFTRA strike, my guess is that that's all the further they're going to get from it because was it the writer's strike or whatever a few years back? The reality was they didn't get anywhere near what they wanted, but they were fighting against obviously AI, against the use of AI rather. So it's like I sympathize with the actors union or whatever here, but the reality is like you're going to have to understand that you're not going to get what you want. You kind of got to push for something, and then you got to understand where you're going to get what you're going to get. You got to take that because otherwise you're just not going to have jobs at all. And that's not good. I'm not saying I approve of that, but I'm saying that's how it's going to work. But there does need to be a little bit of a leniency on this. Like I believe it's fair to use AI to enhance and or fix minor things, add minor things, whatever. But it has to have a stopping point. Like it has to, you know, you can't be adding something 15 years after somebody died,
right?
Unless their estate is okay with it.
Yeah.
Like in your case, you said obviously the family was like I said, understanding Peter Weller's family was totally okay with them doing that. That's fair game then. If they say it's okay, so be it.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Right, but you can't just have the Disneys of the world in 50 years going, yeah, you know what? Let's have Grand Moff Tarkin walking around and shooting Nazis. You know what I mean? Like you can't have something like that.
No, and that's what I was like thinking about while watching it because God, it was great. I love seeing the person, but yeah, like what if that person didn't like the series and they were like, too bad, we're just gonna put you in there, and you know, it's just I don't know, seems like an attack on their memory type of thing or something, you know. But
it's a complicated question for sure.
But at the same time, like it was so good for me in that movie. I was like, even if they didn't say no, it works so well. It's like, but I also felt bad after thinking that. But I was like, so yeah, I thought it was just interesting, and I think AI is moving so fast in the world with everything that I think some laws need to be put in place, but I also
for sure, for sure.
But at the same time, I don't want so many laws in it that it doesn't keep growing,
right.
type of thing. But Yeah, that's my take. That's my question for the week.
Okay.
A little bit deeper than last
Like I said, it doesn't have to be deep.
Well, next week it won't be.
No, you won't. That's fine.
We'll go
right.
back and forth.
So as I showed you, I have made a list of various questions. That way, if I thought of something, I didn't lose it. All right. Now I know I said that this one was going to be another deep one. I think I'm actually going to hold that one for the future.
Okay. All right.
In certain ways, it gets a little personal, which is okay, but it might be a little.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. Like if that's another thing. If there is ever a personal question or whatever, I'm perfectly fine with that.
No, I meant personal about me. Maybe about you, but not about me. So like it's not that I have an issue with that. It's just it might be a little soon for that. So I think what I'm going to go with this time. All right, this was the second one actually I had on my list, and I think this is actually this is a pretty good one. Also, one thing, we'll do this one a little bit different. Instead of doing I'm going to ask the question, then I'll give my whole take, and then you give your whole take.
I'm going right in.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
Because it's multi-step. Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Only 3. It's not like it's much.
You know, I thought I had something good going with my question this week, and now you up it even more.
No.
Last week to a multi-question. Jesus.
It's one question with
I'm coming with an essay
stages
next week.
to it. That's fine. Come with an essay. Okay. So we're going to start with. I'm sorry. I lied. This is not a that's a different one. This is not a multi-step one. This one I had 3 answers. That's what it was. I'm sorry. So my mistake on that one. This is only one. So we will revert to the standard method. Okay. So my question is, what properties could be turned into a game in a genre which it does not currently exist? So, as an example, don't say I want a Batman third-person open world game, because that exists. Right? But if you want to say I want a Batman freaking turn-based RPG, that would be valid, okay?
Right.
And furthermore, I lied. It is the multi-step. I'm sorry, I looked at it wrong. So we are going to start this way. Okay. So my answer was, and actually, this is not a new answer because you guys have all heard me say this numerous times. But I want to see a Western/open world RPG of The Expanse. I very much want to see something like Starfield for that universe, except even more grounded than Starfield. Starfield is fairly grounded, but I want to see even more grounded, and I want to see something with deep systems where, like you have to upgrade the Rocinante, and you have to maintain the Rocinante with like you're taking damage in combat. You have to make sure that you're keeping your funds under control. Or not just in Rocinante, that would mean you're definitely controlling that crew, but it doesn't have to be that crew. But I want something, and also I want to specify I want this to stay within the first 2 books or earlier. That way, it stays within the solar system.
Perfect.
Because after that, they start to go. They have to go into other systems. I don't want that. I want this to be the very much like hard sci-fi. We are stuck within our universe or our solar system because we don't have faster than light travel, so we have to. Mine like icebergs for not icebergs, ice rocks.
For
water.
Like
I want to be able to visit the various different stations. I want to visit Ceres. I want to visit Eros before it becomes
be so good, dude. It'd be so good
before it becomes a living asteroid.
So good.
Spoilers for The Expanse for those who haven't watched it. Something like that. But I also want it to be deal with the. Also part of that setting, the tensions between Earth and Mars, where they're the 2 military
like a faction type of thing.
Well, they're the 2 military superpowers that just don't like each other, but they can't go to war because they're essentially going to destroy the world, right? Or
right.
The race. But also you've got the Belters who don't like either one of them, right? and so you've got all kinds of like its own form of racism and stuff like that. I mean, it's not technically racism; it's more like planetism, I guess. I don't know. But, stuff like that. Like I want stuff like that. I want the like the realistic, semi-realistic weapons that they use. Like they're all just like in Starfield, they'd be caseless because you can't exactly have casings ejecting into space. But I want like 0G combat to be a major part of it. I want the Mars people to have their power armor and stuff like that. Like that setting. I cannot believe that they have not made a game out of that set.
Dude, that would be an amazing,
but
amazing.
they made
game.
a game, but they didn't make that kind of game. They made a Telltale game. Like,
A
I cannot
Telltale's,
believe
yeah.
that they haven't even if you don't want to do an RPG. Like I want a third person action adventure game in this, or first. I don't care. Either one. Like this setting is ripe for being a game, being an action game. It has to be an action game because obviously they don't exactly do much in the way of like melee combat in that universe. It's all guns. But so what do you got? You got anything?
Does it have to be okay?
Well, go ahead and ask. What's the question?
I was gonna say, does it have to be a video game, which works because I've got a few
for this.
There,
yes. For this,
okay.
yes.
All right. I will just point it out there. There's a series of books that I read years ago, and I read a lot.
Save that thought. Save that thought.
Okay. All right.
That's coming up.
Jumping ahead.
Up. Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. So answer the video game question first.
I want. And they technically they did have one, but it died. It didn't do well. I want a good first-person shooter set in the Command and Conquer RTS world, where you have the buildings around and there's
that doesn't count. That's a game series. It can't be a game series within a game series. It has to be a property to make a game in the genre of which it does not exist.
That isn't.
So comic, movie, book, whatever. But it doesn't have this genre of game, and you want this genre of game out of that.
Okay. Well,
you want to go to the next part while you think on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Because now I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part 2 is the opposite. What game property do you want to see as a movie, show, or comic? I put, and this is kind of a lame answer, but I put Cyberpunk 2077. Now it has an anime, but I want to see it as like a very violent, ultra mature HBO show, like a drama. Which the anime kind of is. Why are you petting your shark again?
Ellery wants me to pet the shark.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I see that now. But I want to see this. Like, I want to see that grungy, gross, like overly violent, over sexualized, everything universe. I want to see that in live action from HBO with top quality script writers and just not pulling any punches. Like, you have one guy walking down the street with his dong hanging out. Now the next one, you got some dude getting shot in the back of the head.
So this is going to be on Skinamax, like After Dark.
That's be HBO. It's be HBO. That's the point. Like, and here's the thing too. In Cyberpunk, it makes sense, right? Because that is a universe that is massively over-sexualized, and it is a massive part of it.
Right? I think you are definitely on point there. And like you said, they have to go
all the way. All the way.
Yeah.
It has to be. It has to be in like this should be. This should be the most violent show they've ever made by a margin of 10. Right? Like, because for those who don't know, like the point of Cyberpunk setting is that like Night City has something like a 70% like homicide rate. Like, it's absurd. And like when you're walking around, you'll see people just jumping out of buildings because the corporate, the Arasaka corporation like that, basically ran them bankrupt just to make an extra penny. Like that is this world. And I want to see that. I want to see this fully realized with someone who's not going to pull any punches, and they're not going to hide from the sexuality, because again, that's a major part of it too, right? Like it's a dirty, disgusting city, and that's the point of it. Is on this street you have the massive corporations that are worth, they never give numbers, but I mean I have to assume multiple trillions of dollars, and then you walk around the corner and there's an ad for a woman with 3 vaginas getting screwed by 4 different people, right? Like that's Cyberpunk, and like I want to see that. I want to see that fully realized. I want to see like. That would be incredible to watch someone like HBO do this.
It would be
and just
awesome.
just go all in and not shy away from how brutal Night City would be to live in.
Yep. So for that, I do have an answer for that because I've wanted it ever since playing it, and
it's also worse what you were saying beforehand anyway.
Yeah. We did get an anime. Well, we did get an anime of Cyberpunk, which was fantastic.
It was very good.
Watch it. if for anybody in chat who hasn't seen it, watch it. Rebecca is
do play
best.
Cyberpunk though, because if you don't understand what some of the terms are, it makes no sense. Because
there are some
it does
like
not explain
the word choom and stuff like
it
that.
does not explain the jargon to you. You have to know what it is, or you'll have no idea what's going on.
So pretty much same thing. Like I said, gritty, Dead Space in a. I don't know if I want a season or a movie. I think I want like a series. I think I want a series of the game. I don't want something new. I want of the game. I want to see the Ishimura in its grand, and when there's like the decapitating of limbs and the stomping, like I want to feel it. Like as it, like I want to feel the stomping.
We are talking live action, correct?
Yes, live action. Yeah, because they have
animated does exist. That's right.
Yeah, but yeah, a live action of Dead Space where it's dark, it's gritty, it's almost like how the first Alien was filmed, but it's just I want to see it brought to life. I've always wanted to see it brought to life. And
Dead Space is a cool set. I really have always liked how Dead Space's setting is based off the fact that humanity has run out of resources. So they've had to go interstellar to. For those who don't know, I think most people have either played Dead Space or just don't care. But the general setting is that they make planet crackers. That's what the USG Ishimura is. They literally tear out chunks of planets, giant halves of planets. They tear them out in order to break that chunk down into resources, which is just a cool ass idea. That is such a cool idea for a sci-fi thing.
I just like you said with Cyberpunk, keep it great. I want it bloody. I want people's heads being ripped off. I want the spikes going through people and stuff, the graffiti with blood written on the walls and stuff. Yeah, I want to put some headphones on and get really atmosphere with all the sounds and stuff.
Also, on a side topic, how damn cool is the name USG Ishimura?
It's the best thing ever.
That is just it really is an awesome name.
It is the best thing. Like if there's an MMO I play or anything that I name a ship or a spaceship or like any type of vehicle, it's that. It's the Ishimura. Always has been.
That is genuinely an awesome name. It really is.
It's just so good.
All right, did you get an answer for the first part yet?
Repeat the first one again. So it's got to be.
It's the opposite of what you just answered. It has to be a
movie or a comic.
It has to be a non-gaming property. Turn it into a game in a genre that it does not currently exist. All right, I'll go to the next one while you think, but keep thinking on that. And the last one, it's actually on the same area as the last two. But design a graphic novel, not a comic, from a game or movie. Or I'm sorry, not design. Pick pick something on that. And I came up with two for this one, actually. So the first one I came up with, so there's a little bit of back history. There were a lot of Mass Effect comics, pretty much all of which were really high quality too, actually.
Yep.
One of the runs was called, and this was leading into, I want to say this was going into 3. They had one called Foundations that was, I want to say 12 issues, something like that. Each issue was a new, based on a new character, right? And so basically was a way for them to go, okay, here's what Ashley was doing at this time. Here's what, but I actually couldn't do Ashley because Ashley theoretically could be dead for your character. But what's his name? The drill. I can remember his race, but not his name. How about that? Oh God, I forget his name. Anyway, I picked a character and went like, here's what they were doing, and whatever. I want to see something like that for Final Fantasy 16 because that game had some damn awesome characters. I specifically called out.
Down with that.
And this would, for those who haven't played it, this would be minor spoilers for a character who survives if you really have no ability to foresee anything. But Joshua is one because I thought Joshua was a freaking awesome character.
Mm-hmm.
Like how they turned I mean, he wasn't annoying as a kid, but it was like, yeah, I'm glad he goes away quickly.
Oh
When
yeah, I
he's an
was the same
adult,
way.
when he's an
Yeah.
adult, he was like one of the 2 or 3 best.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I mean, there weren't a whole lot of characters, but he was an awesome character as an adult.
Yep.
Like
It,
I was
it
like,
completely.
he genuinely might have been my favorite character in the game.
Yeah, I did a complete like 180 because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's this annoying kid, da da da, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like his voice actor was awesome when he was an adult.
Yeah.
Like he sounded intelligent. He sounded like composed versus Clive, who was like a hot, just a hothead and crazy and all that shit. Like I love Joshua. I thought Joshua was so cool, and I would love to see what he was doing. When you see like the first thing like behind him, you see his silhouette, see it's alive, or see that he's alive, and he's wandering around with that girl, and then the thing happens with Ultima the first time you actually like Clive sees him alive again. I'd love to see kind of what was happening there. I'd love to see specific little moments of him going from being I don't know whatever he was, like 8 or 10 or whatever, to then being 18 or 19 or whatever he was.
Yeah.
No, that's what I said, Soken. I said he actually was not bad as a kid, but he's just infinitely cooler as an adult.
Yeah. If
cooler.
compared to each other, yeah, it's like night and day almost type of thing.
And another one who I know this is a very popular character in that doesn't get. I want to see more Dion, because Dion was awesome. Dion was so cool. You get to see him when he's the head of the.
Yes, yeah.
Bahamut. He's the guy that's got Bahamut. But he's also the head of the whatever they're called, like the Royal Dragoons or whatever.
Yeah.
And his design is amazing. He actually might be the coolest looking character in the whole thing.
He's super.
His armor is amazing.
There's some artwork of his armor, which is
he is
so good.
He is such a cool character, and like his character arc is awesome. Yep. He's like a good dude the whole time, even though Sam Breck is really pretty scummy. He's a good dude the whole time. I'd love to see more of him. That's just the two, but honestly, there's a whole bunch of other characters I wouldn't mind to see more of. Like I wouldn't mind to see more of actual Sid. Sid was cool. I wouldn't mind to see more of Hugo. Hugo was actually kind of neat too, and you really didn't get to hear much about him. But Benedicta was interesting as hell. I'd really like to learn more about her background. My other one, and this is another obviously they're all graphic novels, but this is kind of a lazy one. Well, actually, it's two of them, but The Last of Us. Now there are technically comics of that, but this is a graphic novel, not just a comic. I want to see, and this is commonly asked for, I want to see Ish's story. For those who don't know what that is, when you are, I think they vaguely reference it in the show, but when you are playing through Pittsburgh and you fall down the river and go to the suburbs, you go into you find a beached boat, right? He was a fisherman that basically ran out of gas and kind of went up there, and you find a series of notes going through there and the sewers that he basically is someone who establishes a living area in the sewers where they have very strict rules with children and all that stuff in order to not let infected in. And it's really fascinating. That actually might be some of the best storytelling in that game, is how they do that. And I would love to see more about like kind of what it was like when they were there, because when you're walking through it, like there's big signs hanging up that says like, make sure you close every door, don't make noise, all this stuff. And it's really cool. And the other one, this is just a little bit more wide. This deals with Last of Us 2. I want to see more about the original version of the WLF. You don't see anything, but you don't see any of them but one of them, because they're basically all dead except for him. The only one you still see is his name Isaac Dixon, I think is his name. But the original founders are a husband and wife named James and something Patterson. I forget what her name is. But when you find them, you actually see their names like scratched out, or not. You don't find them. When you find information about the original WLF, you actually see their names like scratched out by Fedra having killed them. I would be very interested to see like kind of the upstart, because it gives you a little. That'd be cool. Gives you little hints about like when they got truly fed up with the oppression of Fedra and stuff like that. I'd like to see kind of the spark that makes them start that, and kind of, because as crazy as the WLF are, they were much crazier under them. They just weren't nearly as unified. But they were straight up terrorists, and that's kind of how they're labeled by Fedra. That would be really cool, like little thing to show, just to kind of show some background about how completely insane Seattle's QZ got at that time.
That's I like that. I like that. That'd be good. Yeah, I've got mine. If you're done, you done?
Go ahead. Yep.
All right, and I've got your first question too, but we'll do this one since we're on. Yep. I would love to see a bunch of comics or probably just like a comic series on each character's like background or early start in Baldur's Gate 3. I love those characters, and I would love.
I am surprised there isn't something like that.
I'm very surprised too. But yeah, or like a graphic novel about each character, and it goes like before, a few years or so before the game events, just to see how where they came from, how they grew and stuff like that. That I've always wanted that, and like you said, I'm surprised we don't with as popular as that game became with its characters.
I wouldn't be, but maybe not a graphic novel necessarily, but I expect you're going to see some extra media coming out about those characters because how popular that got. They'd be nuts not to.
Yeah,
not to.
And I think that's the thing, is that they didn't think it was going to be that popular, so maybe that's why it's taken so long. But I'm pretty sure we'll get something. So yeah, that's I would love to see that come to some type of comic or graphic novel. To your first one, I want a Delicious and Dungeon game. Now, have you seen this anime?
I've not, but I know what it is. My wife watched it.
So I absolutely love it because it's a bunch of people, going into a dungeon, killing monsters for loot and cooking them, and the food looks great. But I want. So one part of it's going to be cozy. It's going to kind of be like that. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation with that. Is that Livelier, Alchemist, or whatever games where you have like a shop and you're crafting and stuff like that?
You talk about Atelier,
not
Ryza. Ryza is what Atelier is what you're talking about.
Atelier, yeah.
And then it's named after the character then that you play as.
Yeah. So you're gonna have like a cozy part of it where you have to manage a shop, and the shop is a cooking place, and you have to get ingredients to serve your customers during the day. However, or at night you're doing this. During the day you're going to the dungeons, but during the dungeons it is a full-on action RPG, kind of like Grand Blue, the RPG that was released this year.
So you want a higher production Dave the Diver, basically. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is.
That's a very much higher. But yeah, you go into the dungeons with your group of people. Can be multiplayer. That would be cool. You can level up and go as you level up and gain, strength and different skill trees and all that stuff. You can get deeper in to fight bigger enemies, and then you can cook better foods for. I think, I want that.
Yeah, you literally are describing Dave the Diver.
It's pretty much. Yeah, I didn't even think about that until you said it, but yeah. So Dave the Diver with a huge budget, set in the dungeons, Delicious and Dungeon world.
I'll have to tell my wife you said that. She'll probably be like, "Oh, that'd be cool." Yeah. She loved that show.
So good.
She constantly tried to get me to watch it.
It's good. Someone mentioned in chat, where was it? Arcane season 2 coming out in November. That first season, mint.
Yeah, she liked that one too. She tried to get me to watch that. I won't watch it just because I can't stand Riot Games.
I almost didn't watch it.
Make it that I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I almost didn't watch it because I don't like the fan base. I don't like the game. And friends kept pushing me like, watch it. And
I have heard it's exceptional. Didn't it, whatever year that was, because that year specifically had like 4 incredible like game adaptations. Didn't it actually win? Because that was also the year.
It did, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because that was also the year Edge Runners came out. That was the year Last of Us came out. That was the year something else that was really damn good too, and it actually won. So it's like, well, that tells you how quality it actually is. because it was up against some heavy hitters.
Yeah, it was good. I loved the animation and everything. But yeah, I liked those are good questions. I like them. But yeah, Dungeons and Delicious in Dungeon would be my go-to to make that into a game for sure.
Silking it? No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm not a Dungeon Munchies. No, I haven't heard that one. Yeah. Well, sir, do you think it's time to read people their fortunes?
I believe
You got
it
anything
is.
else to talk about? Are you good?
No, sir. I think we are good. I'll have to scratch
All
that
right.
one off on the old list there. So,
You can.
so I don't try to use it again.
You can go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
I bought
this
some
time.
fresh ones
Oh,
today.
might have remained pretty okay. Now that I say that, this will probably taste terrible, but we'll see. If your desires are not extravagant, they will be granted.
All right.
I wish that was true, but it's not. But okay.
Pursue your dreams, for they lead to fulfillment. That's a nice one.
That is a nice one.
That's a nice one.
See, mine is yours is saying like, pursue them and you'll get what you need. Mine is like, just don't ask for too much and you'll get it.
Well, sir, I think that's it, right?
I believe so.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and being active in chat. It was so good to see you all. Yep. Awesome to see Silkenet back from his
the Baguette brother returns.
I was going to say we've got our Baguette brother back now. So
I don't even. Does he know we call him that? I actually don't even know.
I don't know, but it's just a like it. And
this is stale now. Damn
it. We've been calling Silkenet our Baguette brother for a little bit now, and I thought I did the funniest thing the other day, and I texted you about it. I was at work, and Silkenet in Discord said something, and I reacted to it with an emote of a baguette. Yeah. And I was sitting there driving, and I was like, "Is there a baguette emote?" And I clicked it, and I was laughing at myself for like a minute. I was so proud. And then I texted you. I was like, like every little kid.
Everybody from XEP that watches this show from now on. Every single thing that Silkenet posts, you have to use that emotion, and then you can use whatever else you want to do. But like, we need to fill up all of his things with the baguette.
Oh god, I was so proud of myself, and I was thinking as I'm driving, and I was like, I'm 41 years old, and I'm a goddamn kid. Like, Jesus. Oh god,
we say it with endearment. We love Silkenet.
He's very much. We missed him while he was gone in France.
Yeah,
that's playing in the Olympics. I'm sure he got gold for something.
Yeah, we never did discover what event he won.
All right. Well, good.
I think so. Right. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.
I can't.